I hope all of you enjoyed the Sankirtan. So now we will begin the session. We will start with Pranama mantras. Please repeat after me. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So today we are going to continue our discussion in this special series, My Sweet Lord, Janmashtami special series. We had 2 sessions on this already, last 2 Fridays. In this series, we are trying to understand the meanings of the names, 108 names of Lord Shri Krishna. It is called Shri Krishna Ashtottara Shatanamavali. Right? 108 names of Lord Shri Krishna. So we are going to continue our discussion. Where have we stopped last time? I think we had discussed up to Vatsavata Charaya Namaha. Correct? Please distribute the sheet so that everyone can also refer. So the 32nd name is Om Vatsavata Charaya Namaha. Please repeat. Om Vatsavata Charaya Namaha. Vatsavata. So, what is the meaning of this name? Vatsa means calf. So, Lord Krishna used to take calves with him to the pasturing grounds and graze them every day. In the different forests of Vrindavan, he would take these cows with him, and he would make sure that they all get nice grass, and so that they all grow healthy. So Krishna is called Vatsavata Chara. He would also roam about. Chara means to move about. So he would roam about in the entire 12 forests of Vrindavan along with his calves and cows. Therefore he is called Vatsavata Chara. Now that means, last time as we had discussed, cows are called go in Sanskrit. Go. The same word go in Sanskrit has the meaning of senses. Go also means senses. So if one becomes a devotee of Lord Krishna, Krishna will make sure that whatever happiness you want to experience through your senses, Krishna will make sure that you will get it. Right? He will not keep you hungry and starving. Just like he would take care of the cows. So there are two types of enjoyment, right? Two types of enjoyment. Everyone wants enjoyment. One is called legitimate enjoyment. The other one is called illegitimate enjoyment. Legitimate means what? Which is allowed by law. Which is, you're legally, you are fit to experience it. That's called legitimate. Correct? So in this country, for example, it is allowed for you to have your own vehicles. Two-wheelers, four-wheelers, you can have. It is legitimate. You can desire to have your own vehicle and you can earn money, purchase the vehicles. So it's a legitimate desire. Right? But if you think, I want to have my car, but I want to steal it from others. Somebody else's car I will steal and I'll start using myself. Then it is called illegitimate desire. So desire is of two types. So you should know what is legitimate, what is allowed, what is not allowed. If you engage in pursuing your illegitimate desires, what will happen? You will be punished by the law. You will be put behind bars. Correct? Similarly, we are all living in this material world. This material world is governed by certain laws. These are called the laws of karma. And as human beings, we are all supposed to know these laws of karma. And we are supposed to act in such a way that we don't go against these laws of karma. Any activity which is done in line with the law of karma will give you happiness. Any activity which you do against that law of karma will end you up in miseries. So why there is suffering in this world? Because people act against the laws of karma. So they get reactions, they get suffering. Right? So Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Karmano Gahano Karmano Gatihi. This karma acts without any exception on anybody and everybody. Nobody is above the law of karma. Right? You may be a very influential person, you may be president of US, but if you defy the law of karma, you will have to suffer. But when one becomes a devotee of Krishna and says, Krishna, I will lead my life according to your instruction in the Bhagavad Gita. Yes, I have many weaknesses. I have bad habits. My senses are not under my control. But I will try my best to abide by what you are saying. If you do that, if you say, Krishna, I belong to you, please take care of me, then Krishna will take charge of our life. That means He will take charge of our senses. He will take charge of our decisions in life. He will guide us from within so that we don't go astray. Just like Krishna would never allow the cows to go astray. Even if they go, Krishna would go search for them and bring back the cows. He was such an expert cowherd boy. If cows go there and here, he would go search deep into the forest, he would go search and bring them back on track. So therefore, Vatsavata Chara, this name, when we chant, O Lord, you very nicely roamed about in the entire forest of Vrindavan along with your cows. That is the meaning. But what is the mood in which we have to chant? Oh my Lord, my senses and mind keep roaming everywhere. Now I am not able to bring them on track. I have just come to you, Krishna, Krishna, please help me. Please give me the inner strength so that my senses don't go astray. That is the meaning, that is the implication of this. Each name in this Ashtottara Shatanamavali, it has got a lot of personal application in our life. We should be conscious of this and chant. So that is the 32nd name. Now let's go on to the next one. Please repeat. 33rd name. Please repeat. Om Anantaya Namaha.
Om Anantaya Namaha.
Ananta. Anta means end. Adi means beginning. Anta means end. Ananta means endless. Okay? Endless or limitless, unlimited. Ananta means unlimited. Lord Krishna is Ananta. He is unlimited. Why he is unlimited? Everything about Krishna is unlimited. In the Vishnu Purana it is said, Aishwaryasya samagrasya viryasya yashasaha shriyaha jnana vairagyayoschaiva shannam bhaga itingana. This is the definition of the word Bhagavan given in the Vishnu Purana by Parashara Muni. You know who is Parashara Muni? He is the father of Veda Vyasa. Veda Vyasa is the one who gave us Mahabharata, the Puranas. He divided the Vedas into 4. He is Veda Vyasa. His father is Parashara Muni. So Parashara Muni is given this definition of Bhagavan. Bhagavan means that person who has got these 6 things in unlimited quantity. Samagra means totality, unlimited. What is that? Aishwarya, wealth. Virya, strength. Yashaha, fame. Shriyaha, beauty. Jnana, knowledge. And Vairagya, detachment. So one who has got these 6 qualities in full, in unlimited quantity, he is called Bhagavan. Okay? Nobody else but Krishna can be called Bhagavan, because only he fits in this definition. He has all these 6 in unlimited quantity. 5,000 years ago, when Krishna appeared in this material world, he displayed it practically. In no other incarnation, Krishna displayed all the 6 opulences. Only in Krishna Avatara, Krishna displayed all these 6 bhaga, opulences in full. Right? So, for example, if you study about Krishna in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is described that Krishna had 16,108 palaces in Dwaraka city. And each of these palaces, the description is given that the walls in the palaces were bedecked with valuable jewels. Walls with jewels. Imagine, huh? Nowadays, it's very difficult to find, what flooring, tiles or mosaic, or what based on your budget, you will choose one kind of. But Krishna's palace, walls and floors, they were all bedecked with valuable jewels. They were shining brightly. And on each palace there used to be many golden kalashas kept. Water pots, kalasha, golden. So 16,108 palaces. And Krishna married 16,108 princesses. This we had discussed last session. So he expanded himself into 16,108 forms. Simultaneously he was present, he was living with each of his queens in those innumerable palaces. So tell me, which rich man in this world can ever even